What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Generations, drakmount, aka Straxus. And I'm going to probably call him Straxus throughout the review because that's actually what his name is. They call him drakmount, which, if I'm not mistaken, is his fortress from the G1/2 comics. I don't know which one it is. It's one of them. It's the G1 or G2 comics. And that's what he's based on. And he is an interesting figure from like 10 years ago. And Straxus here is one of my favorites. And he has a weird story for me. As a kid, I had him. I couldn't transform him. He just ended up in a bunch of bins. All of his parts got broken. Like, not broken, but they were apart from each other. So they ended up in a bunch of boxes. I put them back together just to find out the head was missing. And that this piece up here was broken off. But I went to Value Village, and I just so happened to find another one there, so I bought it. It had the head. I already had everything else, and then I took the torso from that one, and there's history. And he's one of my favorite figures I own now. He is just an intriguing-looking robot. He's everything I like. He's bulky, but he looks robotic enough. He even has a pickaxe for a weapon, which is really unique. He also used to come with a bunch of like little 9mm clip system things. I don't have any of them. One was like a turret, and there was a missile pod, and like a smoke grenade launcher, I think it was. That was all of them. They're pretty weird and not very good. Taking a look at the one accessory, which is his pickaxe. It looks pretty alright. It has the triangle on it, the little Triforce looking emblem on it. And it is the barrel of the tank, which is kind of cool. I do like that they did that with it. And it is just really odd. A pickaxe for a weapon. Usually, it's like a sword or like an axe, but a pickaxe? That's strange. Now, Straxus himself looks really good. He has one bit of a gold stripe down the chest. It's actually not as bright as it looks on camera. It actually looks really gold on camera. It's actually more of a bronze in person. He has the red on the chest along with the arms. Triangle aesthetic throughout there. It's on his feet as well. Also one on his head. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he's based off of Cobra. Like a Cobra agent from G.I. Joe. Which is pretty cool, honestly. I think it's a pretty good motif to have. But yeah, we're just gonna take a little look-see around him. He has these shoulder pads, which are just kind of kibble. You can use them as a shoulder pad, or you can fold them forward and use them as the chest piece. Personally, I do prefer them as shoulder pads, because I kind of like the different look of the chest. He does have a backpack, but not a bad backpack. It does look big. Might be some dirt showing up. That's because it was at the bottom of a bin. This is my one because the one I bought actually didn't have these. Or the pickaxe weapon. It was the only thing that was actually missing, surprisingly. And yeah, so that's why they're a bit dirty looking. I did try to clean it up as best I could. But he does have like the treads on the back and then that. And I think it looks kind of cool having the treads peering over the shoulders like that. I think it looks dope. And yeah, I mean, he just looks cool in his robot mode. His articulation is also pretty good. And I mean really good. Ball joint in the head, so it doesn't have as much movability because of how the head's sculpted. It kind of has like a neck. I'll get him up there and close. And yeah, he kind of has like a mouth going on, which is kind of intriguing. But yeah, it doesn't have as much posability as you kind of would want. But it does, it does move. Arms go forward, back, and outward. And not quite 90 elbow. Kind of like the Skid's elbow, where it was like an 85. A swivel right there. Hand rotates and opens and closes. That's not all. There's a bicep curl as well, and that's intentional. It doesn't come into play with the transformation, so this is meant for articulation. So he can hold the pickaxe, which is crazy. He has a waist swivel, forward and back. Outward, not so much, because of this giant spike. A knee, and his feet have a pivot, which is crazy. Not as much as, like, say, the newer figures, but it is there. So yeah, he is quite an articulate fella. I didn't expect him to be super articulate. Genuinely. He's a 10-year-old figure. Usually they don't have certain articulation points that the new ones have. Like I said, both arms have that joint, so he can hold the pickaxe two-handed quite easily. Not to mention the articulation in the hands as well. So he can hold it with his two hands. I mean, it looks pretty good. You can try to get some posing out of it if you want. Yeah, I mean, quite good. Alright, fixing the arms. Let's get into the transformation, which is a kind of complex affair. Kind of. It's not really super complex. First thing I'm going to do is start out with the cannon. Oh. Push him back a bit. So the cannon here is, you pretty much come to the base of it and rip down these sections. So it's like that. Flip that around and then kind of move these in, but not all the way. Not quite yet. Because it does have to combine into the alt form. So we're just going to leave that like that, and that's the turret. So yes, if you do get this guy secondhand, you're probably going to be missing this like I was when I found him secondhand. And it is the tank barrel, which is kind of a problem, because he's missing something. But the alt mode, I guess, doesn't truly need it. Kind of does, but I mean, it could still work without it. It's not like it's a vital component, like a wheel or something, or like the whole rear end of it. So to transform Straxus or drakmount here, first thing I like to do is come to the back and split these. Once you split those, you can do that. Rip the chest up like so. Just unpegs. And then you can come into the chest and flip up that panel, and then flip in the head. Come underneath and make sure it's situated correctly. It has to be situated kind of perfectly so you can get this peg to kind of go in next to the head. Take these bits and fold them forward like so. Take the arms. In the meantime, fold these up and around the opposite way they're supposed to go, so like that. Take the arms, and they are kind of on like a weird double hinge assembly because of the wheel. You're going to push them in until the wheel is straight. And then you're going to push the arms into the treads there. Like so, for like a storage option. And we're going to leave that spread like that for a minute until we can get the turret situated, because the legs form the entire turret. Come to the bottom and flip in the heels, and then flip in the feet, like so. Open up the back of the legs. Yes, they could have left that hollow. They didn't. They actually put those there, which is surprising. Flip the head, not the head, the crotch panel around like so. Now you're going to want to take the legs and kind of half bend them. Once you half bend them, this port here will peg into the peg that you flipped out of his pickaxe. And that'll go on like so. Take that, do that. There's some grooves right there that peg onto the gray vent piece that was flipped out. Flip down the knee pads, close up those, flip up the tank turret, fold it back and down, peg the back together, and here we have Straxus in his alternate form, or drakmount, whatever you want to call him. He is a M17 type tank. I don't know if an M17 is a real tank. It just says M17, so that's just what I call it. And yeah, the tank mode's pretty cool. It's different. It has wheels. It's like a half-track tank, which is kind of awesome. And I just kind of like how the robot mode disappears into it. Like, it's just kind of gone. Then you flip it over, and it's just really weird looking, because the arms are right there. And it's like, where'd the legs go? It's like, oh, they're up here. The whole lag assembly just forms the turret. Which means, yes, the waist swivel acts as rotation, and the barrel can move up and down. So it is a fully articulate tank turret, which is awesome. It does roll kind of iffy, but that's fine. It's only half track, so it only has like the little itty-bitty baby wheels on the back. I mean, from the back, there's a gap there. I mean, the back's kind of its worst angle. Side looks good. Front looks good. Everything else looks good. M17 on it. Bit of paint. Headlights are painted. Bit of scuffage there. That's not my fault. This is the second-hand body, remember? And, yeah. We then have the cockpit, which has all of the windows picked out. No detailing really on the tank. I feel like there could have been some silver, not specifically on these, because they're the feet, even though they're painted anyway. Oh, someone's like, what do you mean? You probably noticed when I was transforming it that the heel sections are actually gray. They're gray. I don't know why they're gray, but they're gray. So yeah. And there's a 9mm port there, there, and there. And then there's one there and one there. So there's lots of them around. If you want to, you know, put the clip on. The clip system was around back then. That's what they did. That Scourge still has it, but I don't feel like grabbing his gun right now, because then I'd knock, like, everything over. I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. But, yeah. So that is Straxus' alt mode. So let's get to my thoughts on Straxus while we transform him back. So Straxus is a figure that I quite like, and I have a good story attached to him. Which is kind of one of the things. He has a story to him, which makes me like him a bit more. Now, this figure is a bit of an odd one, because I think this is, like, the only one we've ever gotten, like, of Straxus. I don't know if we've ever gotten another Straxus, and I don't know if we ever will get another Straxus. I hope we do, because I like this thing, but there's, like, 5 other dudes in line that I think I'd like to see more. Like, a new Lugnut. That's one I'd like to see more. I think everybody would like to see a new Lugnut. But, like, there's a lot of things that I'd like to see with this Straxus. And I mean, I do like this Straxus, and something that means, like, I want to give it a 5 out of 5. But I can't. With no sentimental value, this guy is kind of just an easygoing transformer. He looks good. Feels good. His transformation's quite unique. I mean, he looks great. He has a unique weapon, too, which is another plus. I mean, I'm not going to give him a 5, but I sure as hell am going to give him a 4. And that's what I'm going to give him, is a 4 out of 10. Could be a 4.5. Could be. I mean, there's nothing really stopping him from being a 4.5, so I guess I could bump him up to 4.5 out of 10. Could even be a 5. I don't know. If I want to add my own sentimental value to him, he's a 5. I'm going to give him a 5. I think that's my final verdict on him, is I love this thing. I love the look of him. I love his design. I love that he has a pickaxe for a weapon, which is just the most random weapon that you could have picked. And that's just what I think of him. So this has been Eilt Elite. I don't even know. Signing out. See you guys later.